Deb and Lou, I'm so excited that you guys decided to join us today. Just so you have a little background on us, we are the Synergy community of Las Vegas. We are the largest group of EXP realtors in Las Vegas and growing strong. We attempt to provide a little bit of a background, a backbone, and the boots on the ground, if you will, in a cloud world where we need connection and interaction with others, right? So it's so helpful to bring on people like you, and your story is just phenomenal. You really caught the attention of Cody and Lacey. And so I read the story. You were recently featured in Real Producers of Wayne County, August 2020.
Yeah.
And your story is just very touching and very dynamic. And it really spoke to me about relationship. So we're excited to have you on. We always look forward to hearing from people like you who are out in the world really doing it, really making it happen. So with that, thank you very much. And why don't you give us a little bit of a background on you, how you guys got started and where you're at right now?
Well, that starts a long time ago. So Lou got us all into this. So
it's Lou's
honey,
fault.
you talk about where you started and then when I popped in.
So I got in. Thank you. I appreciate being on here with you guys and love sharing the story and growing. That's one of the cool things about EXP. We're all there together, all growing together, even though we're not in the same lines. It's all the same thing, growing the company. But I started in '83. I tell everybody, I don't know to the level of experience everyone on this Zoom meeting is, but I'll give you a real quick. I was always lucky, because the guy that I got in the business with that everyone wanted me to be in sales, and he got me into real estate. He's older than me, and he had a brokerage, and he said, I'm gonna teach you the business, and he did. And the one thing I learned back then in '83 was that the most important thing to have is your listings and your ad calls. And a lot of the traditional companies, and some still in the Detroit area, do this. They have floor time and all this stuff. And I was very fortunate that I understood that, because I knew that I'd have inventory to be successful. So part of my passion comes from, he's going to teach me the business. And back then it was 50-50 splits. And my first check came after 6 months, because you guys are all too young to know this, but 1983 interest rates for a home were 16%. You could buy a house on a credit card cheaper. And so my first check, I got 25%. And I said, Terry, what's up? He said, well, 50-50 after we split with the broker. I said, but you're the broker. He said, well, I got a partner. I said, great, best training I ever had. I don't need your help anymore. I'll just do my thing. I lasted with him for a couple of years. I got my broker's license, went to Remax. No one knew Remax in 1986, joined there. Had a great run with there, then went to a small company called Keller Williams in 2000. That's before Keller Williams had 6,000 agents. Then I was the first Remax agent to join KW in Michigan. I went from there to becoming a team leader. I never worked for anybody before, like in that capacity. I was always an independent agent, but I was attracted to the role of team leader. Grew an office to 300 agents back then before it was real popular. Mark Willis was CEO, told my regional owner in our area that you can hire Lou to replace you, and he's going to be regional director. Became regional director from '06 to 2012. Navigated 30 offices through the worst economic climate we've ever dealt with, kept them all open, kept them growing. We're still 2 or 3 in the whole chain of growth with KW back then. And Detroit, people don't know it outside the Midwest, but we were ground zero for the recession because the automotive industry hit us before anyone else, and we were the last ones out of it. But during that thing, when I became a team leader, that's when Debbie got plugged into this, and I'll let her tell her side of it, because I wasn't allowed to compete with the agents, so I couldn't sell. While at that point, I'd been a licensed broker agent for 19 years, had a very successful business. I wasn't giving that up for anybody. So Debbie stepped in, and then she can tell you her story.
Well, I guess, yeah, it just, actually that team leader position had come up, and I told Lou, you're such a natural born leader, you should throw your hat in the ring. And of course they wanted him. So that was a Friday. I literally took 40 hours of licensing classes the next week. And then the following Monday took my exam. I ran with the business. He was busy growing that particular office from 100 to 300 agents. And I did 15, 17, and 21 million in sales the first 3 years. And that's taking his business over. right? But maintaining it and growing it too. And I think for me, my background was manufacturing. I owned and operated an injection molding and tool and die business. I didn't know real estate at all, but I knew how to be a businesswoman. So I think for anybody transferring from another industry, you can apply that kind of success to this industry because being a self-starter really helps. But you can learn the real estate. And I think, that's part of the ingredients of being very successful with this is that you learn, you master, you take being a fiduciary to your clients very seriously. So I got my broker's license a few years later. Lou did his run as team leader and regional director. And by then we thought, if we're both going to work this hard, it should be for us, both of us working for us. So we re-teamed up together and, here we are today, a little over 3.5, 4 years into EXP.
Well, I love your background and I love your story. And Lou, I'm right there with you. Just so you know, been in the industry for 33 years. When I got in the industry during the savings and loan crisis, I did not know you could actually go to a bank and get a loan, right? Because who was going to go to the bank and get a 14, 16% loan to buy a house? Everything was AITDs and contracts for sale, right? So you've survived many different markets, if you will, in the industry. And then you found this gorgeous woman with this incredible background in management and owning other businesses. And you were like, I could make the double whammy here. A great wife and a business partner. You're a smart man, Lou. I love that. And then go ahead.
I tell everyone I married up.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? Congratulations.
Thanks.
So then you guys have this business that you're running and you transfer over to EXP. And I love the fact, Deb, that you commented on taking skills and assets from other lines of business and industries and transferring them over to real estate, because we are seeing right now, specifically in Las Vegas and maybe nationally, a lot of new agents coming into the industry.
Yeah.
Bringing different skill sets. Some of that might be because of things that are going on in the world and because of, changes in jobs and careers and the way culturally we do business because of things that have transpired through 2020. But we're seeing a tremendous amount of new agents and a lot of people with really incredible talents and, now entering the real estate field. So I know that you guys, or I've read that you guys really operate from a place of mentorship. Lou, you jumped on the team bandwagon very early. I think you sound like a pioneer in understanding the benefits of collaboration and running teams, right? So with all of that being said, how is it, what are the principles that you've been able to use and adapt to be able to come from a place of mentorship and sharing and caring what you know and growing as fast as you have, not only just transactionally, but with your what you call your revenue share lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I never finished. I'll back up one quick second, Pam. I was very lucky that I was able to find Remax when it would have started, KW when it just started. I mean, if I've done anything right, and I've done a lot wrong, trust me, you guys, this business, you learn from your mistakes. But then EXP. And a side note, I always tell everybody, when something's out there and you explore, get on an airplane, go find it out. Because I knew about Glenn Sanford back in 2010 when I was running the region. And one of our speakers doing an award ceremony for me was just talking about this, whole avatar thing. And back then they were stick figures, right? And it was nothing that we have now. And so when we left KW in 2012, really 2014, I never got on an airplane. I assumed they knew who they were. I mean, Deb was the first top agent to join EXP in Michigan, and we were really the pioneers here. Now we have 1,300 agents. A lot of them we brought, a lot of them we didn't. That's just the nature of it's growing so well with so many good agents. But I was fortunate to find EXP, but it came because Gene Frederick, and you probably saw the story. Gene and Susan have been good friends of ours. Gene literally changed his company because of one thing. I tell everybody in these talks, I said, look, this is a great company. I said, Glenn's a very smart guy. We all know that. He thinks he's a techie. And Jason, you gotta love Jason, but he's an attorney. They all think they have different skill sets. And I always tell everybody, we went from 500 to 36,000 agents once Gene came on board. And the reason we did is Gene was the #1 recruiter with Keller Williams. He was my best friend at the company. We grew up as team leaders together, regional directors together. We stayed friends during the whole time. And I was his confidant when he was going to get interviewed and talk to them at EXP about joining. And so the neat thing about that is that Gene said one thing to me, and I'll never forget it. And he says, Lou, it's real simple with this. He says, you go be a team leader. And the reason I say if I would have gotten on an airplane in 2014, Gene would have been under me because he'd have been the first person I called. So I laugh about that because he called me, I'm under him, and I didn't miss nothing. I mean, Deb and I have just reaped all the benefits of this great company and love every bit of it. But I always share that because I want people to always stay in curiosity and go check this out, because as you guys are talking to people for attraction, you know, let's face it, we're the new kid on the block, and anything you look and read nowadays are always putting us down because 50 EXP agents are going to call them and try to recruit them. It's not easy. It's harder now than it was 3.5 years ago in some ways. It really is. Everyone knows who we are now, and then they think they know who we are, and they don't even want to talk to you. So Gene said to me, go be a team leader. And what he meant by that is just go love on your people. Train them, mentor them, teach them, and just go love on them. And I've been very lucky, you guys. I mean, it's a little different here, and there's a lot of people we all know in the company that's really successful. We have a goal, we're going towards that goal. But for me, I get to play team leader every day. Debbie runs the business. She does the whole thing. No admin person. She has a buyer's agent part-time, her son part-time. And when they get around to it, I help her in things one time. But I spend 90% of my time helping all the agents in our group recruit. Right. It's almost a fault sometimes because with the FLQAs, you got to keep those qualified and keep going. Your force, if you're serious about attraction and growing a rev share group, you have to be a business person. You have to be a leader. You have to be a mentor. You have to be a trainer. You have to be someone who's compassionate, cares about them, because those people are the key in your first level to your freedom, period. And you need to do that and share that with the people in the lines down below. And what you guys are doing here, I'm really impressed. So many people are on this call. It's telling me the leadership is awesome. We have meetings every week. Sometimes we get a lot, sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's sketchy, but it's the nature of our business. Everybody's busy. And so I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's funny, Pam, because you've read all that stuff and things that have been printed about us, and we just kind of try to stay under the radar and do what we do and help everybody and love on them. But it's pretty simple. You go be a great agent that somebody wants to hang with. Then when you call them or meet with them or have lunch, they're going to meet with you. And I'm fortunate because Debbie has such a phenomenal reputation in the business. She's fair, she's professional, she returns calls. And for me being the old guy on this Zoom meeting, that's the thing that blows me away nowadays. It's pretty simple. People just need to answer their phones anymore. They don't even answer their phones anymore. They don't have any connectivity or stuff, you know. So COVID's really changed everybody's world and made EXP more accessible because it's kind of makes sense now to have a cloud-based office or do Zoom meetings, but you still need to be on the phone. So
we're really missing that.
Yeah.
We seem to be missing a lot of that around here, just the whole communication thing. And I teach an icon class. I did it for 7 months as part of giving back culturally as an icon agent. And it was called Find Your 90, how I built our business to 98% referral and past client. And I believe it's recorded and in the library. But I really touch a lot in that class about communication, because that is the key to your success. And I mean, right now, this year, and I don't write it off to COVID at all. I think it's the nature of the way people are. They don't communicate. They don't answer their phone. They don't return phone calls. They try to negotiate a contract over text. That is no way to have a relationship with somebody. You have to build relationships. So it takes extra effort on our part to really get those co-op agents on the other side of the table to engage. So you can
100%.
build that rapport.
And I can actually quote you guys from the article. This is one thing that you stand for, is that we're not just service providers. We've become part of people's lives during the transaction, and we remain for years.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a skill set that you guys have been practicing for a very long time. You can't remain in business for over 30 years if you're not actually building relationships, right? And so I think through the age of technology, it is a forgotten art, the
It
art
is.
of just being in relationship with people, right? We are a high tech company, and at the end of the day, I hope we're human driven.
Mhm.
And it really sounds like you guys are building your sphere and training people that way. And I'd like to get back to that question. So for people who are new in the industry, whether this is a twilight career, whether this is a career just based on the fact that their former career no longer exists because of COVID and things that are changing, whether they're straight out of the gate from college and I want to be a real estate agent, let's go. What is your best piece of advice for somebody getting started in this career right now? These guys have been incredibly successful. And I love the tip about being relational. What else would you give to somebody just starting off in a career?
Lou,
Okay.
he
I
usually
was,
has to walk our newbies around.
yeah. Well, no, you know what? Here's the challenge. And I got this from, again, because I came from KW. I mean, in a great company. Without it, I would have never met Gene and been friends. And that was back in '02. And so I think the thing that's frustrating for me is our business is so easy to hide in. I've had examples of people that guys, their wife has a great power job and making good money, and they have to work. So they come in and they go to work every day. They come into the office and go to work, but they weren't working. They're just showing up to put the time in. And I've seen that with a lot of people. And we're like any other company. We have people come and go. Our group, we've had almost 600 people come, and we've lost some too. And when you analyze that, look at that from a management or an agent perspective, and see, did they really work? That what are they doing every day to be in the real estate business? If they're brand new, do the things that we all do. Go preview houses. Go do the things that you need to do to learn the market, to touch and meet people. I mean, there's so many ways to do it. I mean, you could go make phone calls until you get somebody if you can take that much rejection. It works. You can be an expert in KV core and get people so that you have more of a warm call or talk to your clients. Gene used to do a training. It's kind of funny. He wrote a book, 100 Ways to Lead Generate. It's a little book you can get on, I don't know where, Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very basic, very basic. But you know what? People don't do basic. It's a very inexpensive little book he read, and he would do a training, and he'd do it with the team leaders back when we were with the other company, and he'd say, "Hey, all right, go out and make calls." And he would do that with his office in Austin. He would say, "Go make calls. We've got 15 minutes. Go call." And I'll never forget one of the training sessions he was sharing with us. Some guy, or wife, is a lady, an agent. She called up her husband because she had nobody to call to ask for business and see if they knew anybody that needed any help with their business. And so she called her husband and said, "Yeah, I don't know who to call." He said, "Well, you know what? Now that you did that, last week so and so had called and said they wanted you to talk to them about real estate." Well, now she's mad at her husband for not passing the message along. But the exercise illustrated that, yeah, they come to the office, and with us, they go to their cloud office or whatever they work out of, and they think they're working and they're not working.
Yeah.
They're not working. They're pretending they're working and they're not. And you as leaders, you as people that bring somebody in that maybe you're the sponsor, it is our responsibility to support them, it's either a coaching thing or a training. And the coaching part is having hard conversations with them, sitting down. This great time of year, we're all doing our goals for next year. What are your goals? What are they going to do? How are you going to achieve that? How many people do you have to talk to or do business with to do that? And it comes back. I always love it because it comes back for me. It's funny how this works out, that listings are still the name of the game. A really
Their
successful
paychecks.
exactly. And
Things are paychecks.
a successful agent that I worked with, the KW top agent, he used to tell everybody that he got into real estate because he didn't have to pay for inventory. He just had to take the time or spend the money to get enough listings and stock the shelves with listings. But to get the listings, we all know on this Zoom meeting that you're going to get the calls. So it's funny how it's worked out. Debbie would tell you our business is 50-50, right, Deb? I mean,
Buyers, sellers. Yep.
and it happens because you've got to focus on listings. So
So when
Well,
you put the sign in the ground, you focus on listings, you put the sign in the ground, you're going to get the buyer calls. That's
You-
going to generate buyers for you. And then you have to be diligent to work the buyers. So I love what you're saying. And my interpretation of what I heard you say is that at some point it's just about getting back to the basics, right?
Mhm.
The basics of the industry. Maybe stop being distracted by all the other shiny bells and whistles out there, right?
Mhm.
There's a million ways to skin a cat. However, our industry really is very basic when it comes down to it. I think technology has a way of distracting us, right? We could be over here on Instagram and we can be doing this and we can see somebody else killing it on this, but really, if you just focus on the basics,
You have to have the basics. So true, Pam. And I taught in my class that, it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at something. And there's often a lot of brand new agents across the country in my class, in the world. And it's, you don't have to sit and wait for things to fall out of the sky into your lap. Practice doing listing presentations. Shadow people at closing, shadow people at inspections, shadow people writing contracts and showing homes. And we have always encouraged our agents, if you want to shadow me at something, you tell me when you're available and I'll let you know when we're going. And come and do a listing presentation to me or Lou or your relatives. Your relatives would love to know what their home is worth. Everybody wants to know that all the time. So you need to start practicing.
oh, that's fun. I love that tip. That's
Yeah.
great. Absolutely.
And
what a
Gene's
safe
book
environment
is,
to practice in, right?
well, you have to
Unless it's
give
your
a
little
little
brother who's
encouragement. I
supposed to
mean, we
listen.
all know everybody isn't going to be successful. Some get in and quickly get out, and there's nothing we could have done to change that for them. But the ones who, are motivated and really want to succeed, they're going to jump at these opportunities.
Right. Don't you believe also like that's kind of the heart of EXP? So we've heard the line that EXP is the Netflix to Blockbuster. And Lou, to a point that you made earlier, recruiting is a little bit harder than it was 3 years ago because people have heard this story over and over and over again. But you get to the point where you're hitting critical mass. And I think we're up to about 38,000 agents right now to where Netflix all of a sudden became acceptable, right? So it's also possible that we're getting to this point now where agents who have heard it over and over again, maybe they're facing the fact that, hey, EXP hasn't exploded. We're still here. We're a very credible company doing a lot of business. So how do you stay positive when you're having these conversations? How do you keep your downline positive when you're helping them attract other agents into your sphere?
So I'm spoiled because Gene and I talk all the time just because we do about everything, but obviously XP is a big part of the subject. So I hear things from him that always I can pass on. And when we hear that, oh geez, because we get a lot of people now. I mean, hey, when Gene joined, stock was 20 cents over the counter. And we bought it because what we didn't say earlier is I was running a Berkshire Hathaway office for some friends. I opened it up for them, and Gene didn't, I'd signed a contract for 3 years. And so I couldn't come right away. And, I still was able to get a lot of people attracted and do their thing. But it was interesting because they say to me now, because Deb and I have been, buying stock before we were at the company, earning stock, doing all the things we all do. And, oh, I missed it. They all say exactly that, Pam. They say, oh, I missed it. And I said, what are you talking about? And they said, well, look at the stock now. Right now, look on my watch. It's down today at 53.26. It's down. I can remember when it was at 16 and went back down to 8 and I was bummed out, and that's just what happens. But if you want to take Netflix, Gene told me the other day, go back and look what it was 5 years ago. Netflix was $100 some bucks. It's $4 something now. He said, go back and look at it way when it was only a, $5 stock. I mean, they use that because it's a technology, play that that's what we are. And, but they also do it because you look at what can be. And so two things I tell them, especially top agents right now, you guys, I don't care. And I got to digress. When I looked at this and how many million shares of stock were available, I always thought, well, at some point they're either going to have to, split the stock or we're going to be done with stock. Well, duh, I never figured out that when you start getting stock as an icon agent 3 years ago, you got 5,300 shares that are worth what, 160 grand right now. And now if you're an icon agent at what, 16,000 divided by 53 bucks, it's what, a few hundred shares maybe or something. And you think, oh boy, I missed it. Well, they really didn't, because I tell them, I said, look, all these other companies are taking your money. You don't get anything for it. You get a top agent gets $16,000 of stock. If you're talking to be out of the business in 10 years, and that's a $160,000 asset. Do we think the stock's going to go up? Yeah. Do we have a crystal ball? No. You haven't missed anything. It's still a great opportunity for you. And when I tell people, I said, the nicest thing that was attracting us to EXP was your stable is selling homes. Go sell homes. That's where you make your money. That's where you buy the things you love. You've got rev share, which helps to give you passive income, which is wonderful. We're living off it right now. It's wonderful. You don't have to worry about bills and stuff. And it's a real thing. And, and I might say that I've got the same amount of people in our KW profit share pool that we've been involved with for 20 years because we're vested. And it pays nowhere near what we're getting in our rev share group for really less agents. And then the biggest thing is the stock. We never really looked at the stock until it hit me this year. Now I know that sounds stupid because it's been in the news, but when the stock got up to 25 bucks and I looked at what it was worth, what our portfolio was, I started to say, wow. So I tell everybody, you sell houses to pay your bills. You do a traction to build up a revenue share line that you can have passive income that you have for an emergency, if you get sick, or if you want to retire, if you want to transfer to your kids in your estate. That's a real valuable tool that not many companies offer. No company offers the same plan. And then third, most importantly, if I was given stock plan at Remax in 1986, I'd have never left. I'd still be there. I'd still be at Keller Williams. None of these companies had a leader that thought like an agent, that thought, what can I do to change their lives, to put value in their lives, like Glenn. And Glenn has been true to that and put a stock plan together that is going to last for a long time, because the stock's at such a high value now. We've got stock to give to everybody for rewarding them for doing cap-in and their first deal every year, and for bringing somebody, and for being an icon agent. It's valuable. And it's going to continue to be. So we're hitting it on all three levels. And you know what the funny part is? You're still going to get people that don't get it.
Yeah.
We got top agents that don't get it, that think the brand at Caldwell Banker, Remax, or even Keller Williams, they think of as a brand, is a reason it's successful. And they're afraid to move. For all the reason new agents aren't successful, successful agents don't go to the next level because they're comfortable, or they feel, they like somebody. I'm thinking, oh man, Deb, how much did you pay at Berkshire Hathaway the last year you were there?
Way too much, like $36,000 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this too, that, big objection we've had in the past when it comes to attraction is, oh, I need an office. I need a physical office. And guess what? We didn't have to do anything about that to change that objection this year, because a lot of people here were locked out of their office for 4 months. We weren't. And they now have to, they don't like to admit it, but they found out real quickly they don't need a 5,000 square foot office or bigger to go into to get their job done.
Right. So I love that. And so basically, I mean, if to keep people motivated is like, just be an information broker, just keep delivering the information. Is that basically a summary, Lou?
Yeah, here's the thing. Don't let EXP or let people tell the story that there's no culture or they don't have the connectivity. Hey, people in an office, all they do, they waste your time. that you all know somebody in your old offices, they want to come talk to you and waste your time, and you don't have time. Time's your most visible, asset, the important thing that you can have in your business or in your or in your life, period, how you use your time. So I think it's important that I tell everybody, look, I'm in the cloud more than a lot of people are. We have a regular office in there. We have a meeting in there because we did Con Ed. We had 40 people or 30 people in a Con Ed class there this year, 6 hours in there. We had an agent join from that class I've been working on for 3 years. He finally said, I'm ready to do this. So you've got to, I figure you got to experience them. If you got a lot of new agents coming to Vegas and that, man, I'd be doing new agent classes. I'd have them in the cloud. Have a teacher that would teach in the cloud. It took me 2 months to get someone to do Con Ed in the cloud because they're not used to it, right? They're all older. They don't want to change. But the younger people, and there's a lot of them on this Zoom meeting, you guys get it. You're going to be the future. So go after them, teach it, make them used to operating in our environment and see how cool it is.
Yeah,
And
and even in this community here, and I have to agree with you about offices. You know what I say to everybody now? Why in the heck do I go to an office every day with a gazillion other real estate agents who are never going to use my services anyway? Well, that was
mhm,
silly, right?
mhm,
Now I could
yeah,
be out and about with other people networking, people who are really going to actually use my services. Number one about offices. So I completely agree with that. And on Synergy, we actually help our agents and provide those services. Cody and Joe DeRaffaele provide an incredible lunch and learn twice a month, if not more,
mhm,
about delivering the information of EXP explained. So even when people have been EXPU'd upon, because it happens,
mhm.
um, let them hear it from Cody and Joe. Reach out to your resources and just keep delivering the information because I know that it's the best career move I've ever made a year and a half ago. Stock was $8 a share when I moved over. And we went up to over $60 a share. I was happy when it dropped below 40 because I knew I was buying low. I thought that was great.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for it to get to 200 and beyond. So it's exciting stuff. And we ran out of time. I'm a little
yeah.
bit over, so I apologize, but I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to you guys and I've learned so much from you and I have a ton of notes. I definitely am going to go get that book, 100 Ways to Lead Generate. I wish I had it sounds like you have like a phone a friend line to Gene.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we do. We have fun. We've always been
great.
that way. That's how it ended up. I feel real grateful for that. But
Well,
that we leverage that and use that, to help grow the company. And he's a very good resource. And you know what? He's that thing with Gene now. It's funny, you go to these big events, he's a star. We don't even talk to him. We can see him anytime. We let him go share his wealth with everybody else, and he does a great job. But here's what I just want to leave in closing, you guys. You're in a great opportunity out there. You're in a growing state. People are going to go there, want to be there. And just do what you continue to do what you're doing. But when we look at our success, we've had people, $20 million, $25 million producer, took 3 years, almost 2.5 years before she came. Be in relationship.
yes,
It's like in selling a house. You want to be one of two people they're going to call when you list it, right, Pam? That's what's going to happen.
absolutely.
It's the same thing with this. Be in relationship and just go out there, tell them to do real estate, keep doing what you're doing, succeeding wise, and love on them and be support. We had our meeting today, and I got to leave you with this. I know I talk too much, but one of the gals was talking about a year later where she was, what she's at, and we're on speed dial for them. Debbie answers broker questions and teaches them to write kick-ass contracts at 8 o'clock at night when they're competing. No other brokerage any of us know answers their phone from a manager or broker after 5 o'clock at night. We do it, and that's what we take pride in helping our people. We don't do it for us. We don't need it. But if you really want to build something bigger than yourselves, and I mean bigger than your real estate business, you have to give of yourself and put yourself out there and be genuine. You do that, you guys will kill it.
Yep, I love it.
Hey,
Could not
Pam,
have
can I
said
mention one thing right
better
here?
words.
Pam, can I mention one thing?
Yes.
So there's something super encouraging for all of us here in this market and the other surrounding markets that we have in Synergy. And that is that what Las Vegas and Nevada looks like today is what Michigan looked like for them 3 years ago. So, you know, it may have gotten tougher there, but I'm telling you from experience that here I feel like we're in the most fertile time because it has gotten easier for me to talk to people about the company. And I think all of us have a huge opportunity in front of us to, you know, this isn't just something that everybody else can do. We can do it too. We can be a part of this huge movement within the industry.
You know, we could talk for hours because you keep making me think of things, but the most important thing is ask questions, because Cody, you're right about that. But in our market now, everyone's sick. You said it earlier, Pam, they get puked on. You know, you said it more distinguished, but they do. And so you ask questions and find out what it is. And you know what, it might be rev share that they want. It might be the stock will make a difference, because I'm telling you, these top agents making all this money, they spend all that money. And and the stock is a really, really good resource to build equity. So
I love it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna let you get back to your workday out there in Michigan. I know that like we caught you right in the middle of the day. You probably have 100 things going on. Really appreciate you guys taking the time. And for everybody online, this is going to be recorded. You can go back and revisit it on the Synergy community page, and it's also going to go on our YouTube